Hello, thanks for joining us on this episode of Sunday Magazine on your darling station, NTA Channel 5 Abuja. On this edition, we shall be looking at flood infrastructural development and enforcement. It is a known fact that Nigerians have imbibed the negative culture of building on waterways, thereby blocking free flow of water, particularly during the rains. This trend has significantly contributed to loss of lives and property. Now, if this trend has persisted for years, where are the building laws? How effective are they? And how can stakeholders end this menace? But before that, we shall bring you words from the clergy and verses from the Holy Quran to strengthen the Ramadan fasting faithful, with other reports to usher us into a new week. On a sad note, have you ever imagined losing a young, promising child at the hands of death by an alleged murderer? Residents of Piwe community in Abuja are still dazed with one experience. These and more will come your way in the course of the program. Welcome. I am Ifoma Ojinta. We will be right back. Many thanks for staying tuned, and let's begin on a religious note. FCT CAN Secretary Bishop Michael Akpami has charged Nigerians to remain steadfast in their prayers for the nation's growth and development despite the economic situation of the country, which seems to be overwhelming. Deborah Gazaji Micah, who also covered Winners House of Faith International, reports that this message was part of sermons delivered at the Sunday service in Abuja.
FCT CAN Secretary Bishop Michael Akpami noted that though the nation's economy might not be encouraging, he reassured Nigerians that in no too distant time, God in his infinite mercy will surely perfect his good will in the nation. Also speaking on vengeance, the bishop encouraged Christians to leave vengeance for God.
The enemy is wreaking so much havoc in the lives of the individuals and the life of our nation, and we need the God of vengeance to arise and show forth at a time like this.
Meanwhile, Evangelist Kufred Abbas Eyo of Winners House of Faith International, in a special missionary outreach to Waru community in Amak, preached that personal effective relationship with God changes one's level.
The gospel of Jesus is simple: salvation. Whoever received Jesus has been given liberty, not just from demonic attack or spiritual problems, but also the liberty of life. The good news we bring today is the gift that salvation comes with, the liberation that has come through the gift of salvation. And it's a free gift, you don't have to buy it.
It was quite eventful, as the event brought to the community good tidings, including free medical services.
Now, FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliyu has called on Muslims and non-Muslims in the territory to, in the spirit of Ramadan, express love beyond the Ramadan and put aside all vices set to separate them from one another and live in unity. She said this at a special iftar organized by her family in Abuja. Ifeanyi Izumba has details.
Iftar, which means breaking of fast in the evening after the day-long fast, is believed to be the directive of Allah, who made it an obligation for all Muslims in the month of Ramadan. It is also one of the 5 pillars of Islam. FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliu enjoined all Muslims and residents in the FCT to share love, care for one another and give to the needy.
It's about bonding, it's also about giving, sharing, it's about loving one another. And that is what we need in this Ramadan. That is what we are preaching, because that is what Islam is all about. And when we do this, we respect one another, then there will be peace. When we share with each other, we eat from common bowl, there is that bond, there is sense of unity.
The minister have think wise to bring brethren and sisters to this great occasion for them to come and break their fast. This is an avenue where people feel belong in a society.
A traditional ruler from Ebira land, the Ohinoyi of Ebira land, Ado Ibrahim III, prayed for the continuous peace of the nation as well as the minister and her family.
We only believe that they must be humanly, and they have been like that. And all of us who are here and witness the blessings, the prayers, the preachings of people who know very well. All God will bless all of us. May us only remember that one man's faith is not enough. One man's faith plus other man's faith will make more complement.
The month of Ramadan is very significant in Islamic faith. It is said that during this pious month, the gates of heaven are opened while the devils are chained behind closed doors of hell. It was also in the month of Ramadan that the Quran was first revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be unto him. In Abuja, Ifani Ezumba, NT News.
Meanwhile, no fewer than 350 orphans and less privileged indigenes of Kefi have benefited from the food items distributed by the Committee of Women Affairs Kefi Emirates Council. Secretary of the committee, Ramatu Musa Sani, said the palliative is part of efforts to cushion their suffering in this month of Ramadan. Christy Adaji reports.
Each of the beneficiaries of the gesture, who are mostly orphans and widows across Kefi local government area, smiled home with package containing rice, beans, millet, noodles, groundnut oil, salt and Maggi, among others.
May God reward them. I'm very grateful.
We pray for our Emirate Council, Kefi. May Allah guide our Emir and also people of entire Kefi.
Chairperson of the committee, Bilkisu Usman, and the secretary, Ramatu Musa Sani, said the gesture is part of the committee's mandate to cater for the vulnerable persons in Kefi and environs, noting that the food items is meant to ameliorate the unbearable hardship faced by the people as a result of the economic situation of the country occasioned by COVID-19.
So this donation is by well-meaning Nigerians, both the people in Kefi and some even outside Kefi that have the feeling of touching the lives of the less privileged. And we got a lot of contribution, and you can see at least each of them has gotten something to eat.
The program, which is targeting 400 beneficiaries, has so far placed 350 orphans and less privileged on its scholarship scheme. From Kefi, Christy Ayagwa Adaji, NTA News.
Besides the need to use the holy month to understand more of the teachings of the Quran, so as to use it as light over darkness, Rosemary Motadel Bilal spoke to some Islamic scholars on these and other important issues of the day.
The Arabic content of the glorious Quran, scholars maintain that, will make meaning more when interpreted with practical explanation of Allah's commandment, which Islamic scholars do in the month of Ramadan.
For those who cannot come to the mosque, they can watch the tafsir through the electronic media like NTA and other channels that are in the country.
Therefore, it brings about fraternity, it brings about love, it brings about help, it brings about really more understanding for peaceful coexistence.
Conventionally in Nigeria, you find out that in Ramadan, all mosques engage in doing tafsir. Now, by that activity uniformly being done, it has united the people automatically.
Muslim faithful express spiritual contentment listening to the explanation and teaching of the religion by scholars, especially during this period of Ramadan.
You get to know more about the Quran because when you read it, you just get the direct translation. So when you go to tafsir, they give you deeper knowledge of the verses.
It's important to every Muslim's life because it always makes you to do the right thing and avoid the wrong things.
The guidance to the Muslim Ummah, it's like a further explanation of the scriptures to the people, and it's rewardful during the month of Ramadan.
The days of prophets of Islam, and it teaches you and guides you on how to practice your religion more, and spiritually it guides, most especially in the month of Ramadan.
Through the teachings of scholars, faithful get to understand the boundaries of Allah and work towards their salvation and their faith.
Thank you very much, Rosemary. And now to the business of the day. Lack of strict adherence to Abuja City Master Plan and poor level of enforcement in places where there are alterations by individuals who build on waterways are believed by a host of residents to be largely responsible for the disaster which has continued to ravage the nation's capital on an annual basis. Correspondent Ilyas Olotu Yakubu in this report takes a look at the current situation as the rainy season commences.
We had to climb up here with a little ball on my neck, you know. We hung up there. My leg was here so that we don't get washed inside, submerged inside the water. And my wife and another of our guests was up here. They too held up to this point.
64-year-old Michael Edoja, recalling the harrowing near-death experience and emergency strategies he had to employ with kids strapped to his neck to escape the ravaging flood that sacked their FRCT estate in Lokogoma.
We had actually expected the government, the FCT authority to come and do proper channelization and the embankment of the canal, which will give a succor to everybody and will create a right waterways for the water to flow seamlessly outside the estate. Because the whole water in Lokogoma passes through here.
Aside from the bridges, if you could see those bridges, the bus culverts, they are not in line with the modern day reality. You know, 2 culverts cannot serve the entire length of this place. So government needs to still come and do the needful.
About 2 years running, Michael and other residents like him have had to live in fear of what might or might not happen on an annual basis. This is just as residents now resort to self-help with measures to excavate and desilt the channels to allow for free flow of water when the flood comes. In the satellite towns, the situation is not so different.
It is barely 8 months ago that a family of 5 was washed down by flooding as a result of a heavy downpour in this facility that is right behind me here. But the most surprising thing is the fact that houses have been marked for demolition as a result of the flooding, houses that are on waterways. But residents of the community, owners of the lands, are already rebuilding, just like this one on my right here.
Don't have anything to where to carry them to locate another education for them. That's my government can find way to locate them, maybe to be better for us. But we under government, we cannot do without government because government is enter the issue. That's why we cannot do anything for land for them.
To remedy this issue, all these houses must go according to our report. So that is very critical.
Well, if the enforcement is real, not that we don't have the law, we have the law that caters for everything in this country, but to enforce it, and that is the problem.
Residents say lack of enforcement of master plan by the authorities, and in some cases, the negative attitude of people are to be blamed for the resultant dangers.
Thank you very much, Onotu, for that background report, which has set the tone for our discussion this evening. And joining me in the studio to talk more on the issue of flooding is Acting Director, Department of Development Control, FCTA, Garba Kwamko. You are welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Now, let's begin on this note. Abuja is a city which is fast growing with influx of people and by extension development. Now, people in the past have either by omission or commission built on waterways, resulting in flooding and pains. What have the authorities done about the structures on waterways in Abuja?
Yes, you know, Abuja is a planned city, just as you rightly said, and places where infrastructure has been built, we hardly have those issues of flood. I can give an example. Maybe somewhere around the city center, where we have the phase 1, you can see that the roads, the channelization has been properly done. The sizes of the bridges and most of the culverts are up to our engineering designs. But the problems where flooding is now happening are within areas that have not been serviced. And you find out that because of the rush in people moving into the city of Abuja, they have resolved to self-help. You know, they don't even come to ask us about our engineering infrastructural designs. That is, in terms of every house has a level at which you can look at the road design and they take the level at which your house can be put. So the foundations are usually supposed to be determined by the Department of Development Control. But most often, people are in a rush and then they go start building before some of these services are provided.
Okay.
And then, when the flood comes, it actually goes around to affect them.
Okay. Now, some people claim ownership of plots on waterways, sometimes even producing legal documents for property built on waterways. How do you handle such cases?
Yeah, we've had issues mainly within the satellite towns where criminals have actually infiltrated our cadastral land system and have tried to clone some papers. But we are on it. Sometimes we do certain verification. Those of us who have been long in service, once we see these papers, we know that either they are cloned or they are fake. And usually they do not usually stand the test of time. And with time, we usually bring down those houses because of the health and environmental risks and consequences associated to having those buildings down.
We still tend, to ponder how do individuals find their ways to accessing plots on marked areas.
Yeah, I think in this part of the world, it actually baffles that some people actually can dare government and they can always take a risk. Some believe before the machine comes, they would have spent like 6 to 1 month, and then that could serve them instead of going to rent an apartment within the city center. So they usually what I can say, they take the risk, waiting that once government comes, they would have enjoyed some kind of time. So, but it's only in this part of the world that people can just move into a city such as Abuja that is properly planned and with its master plan and things that we cannot know. It's actually unfortunate, that these are some of the few issues with human beings. So, but we are on top of the situation.
Okay. Now, can you tell us, how many illegal structures, has your office pulled down in the last 2 years, and in which part of the FCT?
Yes, actual structures, structures, we can categorize them in, there are some that are maybe properly built. There are some that are shanties, maybe make up of cartons or with asbestos, paper bags and all that. We can say those ones, for the past 2 years, we've pulled down almost like 12,000 of them, shanties. But actual strong buildings that are on waterways because of human errors or negligence, that I can put like 200 houses.
Okay. Now, the rains are here again. What is your advice to the public?
Yes, my principal advice to the public is, once you want to build in Abuja, come to the Department of Development Control, seek a planning permit, We can also advise you at which rot level your building is supposed to be, so that when the rain comes, the buildings or the foundation will be above the ground or sea level. So my advice is, please live under the law. Abuja is a planned city. You must seek planning guidance and permits before you build any house. And then you can also enjoy whatever land. If not, we are always there to go after you.
Thank you very much, Acting Director, Department of Development Control, FCTA, Garba Kwamko. It's been a pleasure indeed having you in our studios.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Let's take a break now. Sunday Magazine continues in a moment. Please stay.
We're just having a good time, and I'm feeling so good tonight.
Where you did? I dey come now. You go see me now. You go.
Call your party and everybody, yeah. Make we start to the corner.
Where you did now? You go see me now.
Everybody they dance.
Where you did now? Oh you go see me now. I'm fine, sir. Give me a surprise.
Hey, where you at?
Hello, how are you?
Tell us one truth nobody knows.
I like to steam it from my mama pot.
Glow, the best data plans in town. Dial *777#.
Thanks for staying tuned. And now for an update on COVID-19. Figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, as at 24th April 2021, indicates 4 new cases of COVID-19 in the FCT. Total number of confirmed cases, 19,774. Active cases, 519. Number of discharged cases in the territory, 19,090. And 165 deaths have been recorded in the FCT so far. Nigeria and the world at large have continued to battle COVID-19 pandemic, which is ravaging globally. Today, however, is observed annually as World Malaria Day to draw attention to universal efforts to controlling and eradicating malaria. Health correspondent Hakim Mataliu tells us more.
Malaria is a mosquito-borne infectious disease of human. Current figures show that 228 million people around the world die annually from the disease, with Africa contributing about 93% to the statistics and over 81,000 deaths recorded yearly in Nigeria. The disease, according to experts, is a multiplication of malaria parasite within the red blood cells, causing symptoms that typically include fever, headaches, and in some cases, progressing to coma and even death.
It's good to put on record that malaria is still a disease of public health concern that has numerous impact on the society. The malaria indicator survey indicated that Nigeria still has 23% prevalence.
To bring about total eradication of malaria has been the crux of global focus, as World Malaria Day is observed every 25th of April.
Indicates that we want to attain zero incidence, zero transmission, and if possible, zero infection of malaria. So it is a whole lot of gamut of things: the environmental sanitation, clearing of gutters, removal of all places, containers that keep water, and stagnant water is the pool, is the very good place where malaria, the mosquito undergoes its life preparation.
For governments and all towards combating the scourge through eliminating the vector, mosquitoes, which causes malaria.
Now, what could make a young man take the life of another without a just cause? This is a mystery of the FCT. This is the mystery the FCT Police Command seeks to unravel with the mother of a 21-year-old graduate of political science from the Bingham University, New Cairo, Nasarawa State, who was allegedly stabbed by another young man in Pioi community in Abuja. Aisha Bashir reports that the incident has created an atmosphere of fear and concern among the locals.
On a visit to Pioi, a community located behind ShopRite along the airport road, the atmosphere was that of mourning and despair, especially at the home of the late Isu Pioi, John Bamayigata, who it was gathered passed on 2 years ago. But the reason for the visit is beamed on the son of the late Isu, Emmanuel John, a 21-year-old graduate of political science at the Bingham University, New Karu, Nasarawa State, who was stabbed on the neck, allegedly, by one Olowonusi Lucky Abraham on the 4th of April.
Standing in front of the shop buying water, so I saw some boys standing talking to him, and one of them was holding him on his hand. And the only person I know inside, his name is Lucky. So I was thinking maybe they are just playing, or maybe somebody he knows. But later on, it's kind of turning into a fight. The boys were so many, more than 10 boys. And others were with me. They dragged me out close to Emmanuel, as if they want to beat me also. While the Lucky and some other boys were with Emmanuel, they were fighting. So the next in my head is something that Lucky says, that he has scant a scores, that he should go. So all of them now start running.
He's my cousin brother. So one night, on Sunday night, around 8 to 9, my sister sent her to go and buy something. So on our way back, the Lucky held my hand. He now asked me what's my name. I said my name is Esther. He now said, "It's today I will know whether life is sweet or life is hard." Then me, I did not take it serious. I just say he should leave me.
The deceased was said to have been rushed to a nearby clinic in the community where he eventually died, after which the incident was reported at the Lube police station by the family of the deceased.
I had a call. They just knocked my window. So what happened? That I should come outside though. Reaching outside, I saw Yima already dead. We took him to police station here, from there to Federal Medical Center. Reaching there, they confirm him his death.
It's a very big loss for a child that is matured like that age to go. It's something very, very difficult for her to take.
It keep hurting anytime I wake up to find out that Imadon.
Incidents like this are perceived by people to have coloration of social vices and youth restiveness. Parents are advised to be more responsive in the upbringing of their children.
Very sad story indeed. And that does it for Sunday Magazine this week. We thank you so much for watching. Remember to wear a face mask at all times. Let's do this again, same time, same station next week. Bye for now.